I'm just starting the recording. All right. Oh, there are some changes to the user interface here. Yeah, I've been good. Busy, as things tend to be. All of a sudden you're caught up in a lot of, in my case, a lot of admin. Not very funny admin, but just the stuff that you need to do. And
it is what it is.
It is what it is, and well, as an independent content maker, you know all about that as well. So.
Yes.
Yeah. I wish small entrepreneurs that we could just do what it is that we do best, but that's not how the world works.
I'm sure over the years I've been paid about 1 cent an hour, I reckon, on average of all the time I've spent on a computer, trying to do things that will make money.
That's the thing. I mean, I have a job as well that makes money because we all need to. But all the hours that you put into the creative things that you're passionate about. I mean, I make music, and I don't think I've made a few pennies on some music placements in some documentaries, just the background noises and music. But occasionally they will send me 25 euros or something for that once a year. But that's really it. That's really it. That's the amount of money we're talking about. And so it's the music business is
it's sort of like a passion project, isn't it?
Yeah, let it be noted here on this day that you don't go into the music business for the money. That's just not. You're gonna be very disappointed.
It's funny the things we do, isn't it? Like I always like the front page of my websites to look really, really nice, and in reality, no one actually goes to the front page. People find your website through articles and may never even actually look at the front page, but. But I always like the front page to look nice. So
yeah, but that's exactly. That's the kind of thing that you tend to focus on things where, well, you will notice the difference, and you do this to feel good. It's the same thing about music. You can really bitch about the nitty-gritty details and sweat the small stuff and all of that. To really go into details. Nobody with any. I mean, maybe people with some knowledge of music production, they will probably notice some of it, not all of it. But the average listener won't ever care. It's just.
But it makes you happy, and it makes me happy, and that's the thing.
That's the thing, and I know that when other professionals will listen to some of my music, they will say, "Okay, at least he's not an amateur."
No.
So that's
right, because if I see a bad front page of someone's website, I go, okay, let's find somewhere else to go.
we probably touched base on this in previous episodes, but here in Germany, they are. To a certain extent, they are innovative. The Germans, the engineers and all of that. But in terms of digital innovation, they're certainly not first movers, and you actually still do sometimes see these websites, as you mentioned, a front page, where here it will look like they did in the late 90s, and it's like, what is this? It can be a small bookstore, a small carpenter company, where this is not at all their focus. But actually, that leads me to a question, because in those cases, I kind of get a little curious, because it's okay. This carpenter, he hasn't updated his websites for 25 years. Maybe he's a good carpenter. Maybe he's actually a good carpenter, and this is where he's getting his business. People by mouth to mouth and all of that.
It's funny, isn't it? The things you notice. Like I was doing some research for something the other day, and I was looking up a hotel that we'd stayed at, and you know how like you're up on your search bar on the email address on the website address, you know, you can get your little logo sort of in the corner of the search bar, and this hotel just had a plain WordPress logo, and I was like, you've just got a WordPress logo on your hotel like website, like surely you can upload a little file with your, you know, with your logo to make it look a little bit more professional than just saying, obviously I had someone build it on WordPress and, you know, they did a half-assed job, and, you know, and now only to people that know, you know, or take notice of them sort of things, you go, yeah, it looks a bit cheap because, you know, you didn't even upload a tiny image, you know, that would take you 2 minutes to have your little, you know, your little image up there on your, when your window is opened.
Exactly.
It's quite
fun. Yeah, it is. And in this day and age where you can literally make a website for, I don't know, maybe you can even make it for free. The only thing you will pay for, obviously, is an annual fee for the domain. But yeah, that's true. That's true. And you have all these online services that will help you and make it very easy, drag and drop, and well, you know all about this, So yesterday,
Sorry, you go.
Yeah, no,
you go.
I was going to say yesterday, Alex and I, because our son is visiting my mom over the Easter holidays, so he's gone for the next 8 days, and so yesterday. This is the first time we as parents do not have our son with us for almost 2 weeks. He went already on Sunday morning, so this is the first time we ever try this, and he's a teenager now, so we've been with him almost with very few exceptions. Some years back, where he went with his cousins, but that's this is the longest and the first time he's gone for a longer period. This is quite new to us. So we'll see in about a week from now when he comes back. Whether or not we have this empty nest syndrome that many talk about.
That's it.
Yeah. No.
How did he go to Denmark? Like
he went by
bus,
train.
Plane, train.
Yeah, no, he went by train.
Yeah.
It was from to where my mom picked him up. It was 10 hours by train. And as things tend to go. With Deutsche Bahn, there were some delays on the way, so he was, but he didn't miss his because he was going to change train in Hamburg, which is the northern hub here, and he just made it. He just made it. He had 25 minutes to change, and in Hamburg on the central train station, it's manageable. It's manageable. You can do this. But any less than 20 minutes.
Train station many years ago.
Yeah. I would say any less than 20 minutes in Hamburg. That's cutting it close. So, and he was delayed a little bit. So I think he had about 10 minutes, and. So, but he made it. So
that's the main thing.
That's the main thing. And even if he hadn't made it, I mean, there would be trains going to Denmark later from Hamburg. It's literally every other hour or something. There's a train going. So that would have been fine. That would have been fine. No,
there's actually
all
trains are free in Victoria this month, which is something new because they're fighting a rising tide of petrol prices in Australia. I don't know what they're like in Europe, but they're pretty severe here at the moment from Donald's War. So it's not really helping anyone with cost of living pricing?
He's not helping any person on the planet, really. Only his rich tech friends. But yeah, no, that's great. I mean, for the whole month of March or whole month of April, or
yeah, for the whole month of April. Yeah, you can go anywhere for free in Victoria, not Australia, just in the state we live in. But I don't know whether I'll actually be able to use it because there's no actual train station in our town, as I mentioned before.
Yeah,
so I still have to drive to a train station and then get on. And so, but it's I guess it's a good initiative to help with the costs, even though our state seems to be eternally in debt more than any other state in the country. And I'm sure this won't help them at all. But there's an election coming up in 3 or 4 months, so I'm sure it's just a nice little bonus.
Absolutely,
because they're behind in the polls and trailing by an absolute mile. So
throughout the entire election circle, they can talk about the problem with the lack of money, but it's remarkably fast when you approach the next election. How loose the money gets,
Yes, that's it. Yeah. No, I always wonder, about money and like debt in governments. I mean, the money doesn't really exist. It's just on a piece of paper. Like you never actually see the money. Like it's just, it's just a bottom line sheet, really. Like no one's physically got the money. It's just
exactly.
It appears on a piece of paper, doesn't it? Really,
it is. That's exactly right. Yeah. It's exactly right. And they talk about this in Germany as well. We have the hugest depth, in history and. The German industrial sectors they're suffering, which they are. I mean, they tend to have overslept, and now from the competition from Asia is really kicking in Germany, particularly in the automobile industry. BMW, Mercedes, Audi, they overslept. They were too. Volkswagen, they are cutting off a lot of jobs, and they, in my opinion, they overslept. 10 years. Yeah. They should have innovated. They should have just.
They all slept while China was making 1 million electric cars, didn't they?
Exactly.
That's what happened.
Exactly.
I hear you.
Now, they did during the pandemic. The German government they did similar thing. It cost €9 for the Deutschland ticket, the German ticket. Yeah. We can just go throughout Germany, except from the fastest ICE trains. Yeah. And Alex and I, my wife and I, we have the what it costs now. It costs like €58 a month now. It's gone up significantly, but still, it's actually if you're a commuter and you have to go, I would say more than half an hour to the job. This is the cheapest option you can get in Germany, and it's a nice bonus that you can actually enter any public transportation and go anywhere you want in Germany. I think that's actually pretty cool. So they got that concept right. And there's the most conservative people in the government. They're also the ones that they're well off and they have cars and people around them. So they don't really care. But I think anybody else, just center and left, they are pretty much keen on keeping this German ticket because it's simply good. It's simply good sense. It makes sense in so many ways. Even also for the environment. I mean, it's the less people you sit one person in the car. You look at particularly here in Germany. You see how stuck the traffic is on the autobahn rings and stuff. I mean, and there's one person in each car. It's just ridiculous. So the cheaper you can get public transportation, the better. And I am with Victoria there. To me personally, I think public transportation should be almost free, if not free. I think in Luxembourg it's free. In Luxembourg it's completely free.
Yes, it is.
But it's a small country. It's a small country.
It is. It is. They've got nice trains there, though. I've been to Luxembourg on a train there, so they had nice nice big trains back to that was 5-6 years ago. I assume they still have, but they also had cheap petrol in Europe back then. Like I remember driving somewhere and we actually diverted through Luxembourg just to fill up the tank, and then we kept going. So because it was relatively cheap. Accommodation wasn't cheap though. We stayed like in a caravan park in a cabin, and it was still fairly pricey. But the petrol was cheap and the public transport was free. So take out of one hand, give to the sort of deal. But that's life.
I mean, petrol is expensive here as well, and they are discussing whether or not they should cut taxes on it. And
well, our government have cut the fuel excise, as they call it, which is their tax ratio, comes into effect tomorrow. They've cut 50% of it, so I think it's meant to go down about 28 cents a litre or something, because it's hovering around, I don't know, for unleaded or what we use, it's around $2.55 a litre, so that's probably around the, 130, 140 cents euro a litre, which is probably dearer than that in Europe normally anyway, a lot of the time. But for here it's dear, and I think diesel's really dear. Diesel's like about $3.20 Australian, $3.30, so it's 180, 190, €2 a litre possibly.
I'm going to shock you there, because actually it's more expensive here.
I'm not surprised, because petrol was fairly dear there when we drove there. It was probably 25-30% dearer than what it was in Australia.
We pay around €2.10 a litre.
So but once again, it's like all things. It's the stupidity of your government. I mean, we export enough oil, but we don't have a refinery to make fuel, because we sell it all to the Saudis and or whoever refines it somewhere, and then they probably illegally sell it on to China and Iran and Russia and and all that sort of shit.
So you have oil in Australia. You pump up oil.
And we sell it all.
And you ship it abroad, and then they refine it and you ship it back.
And ship it back. Basically. I think there's one refinery in Australia only. So, but that's what I say about Australia. We make nothing. We just export everything as bulk. Like, we have one of the largest uranium reserves in the world, yet we have no nuclear power, things like that. We just sell the uranium to everyone else to run their nuclear power stations or make their nuclear bombs or whatever they want to do with it. But we don't have a nuclear power station at all, and it takes 10 or 15 years to build one, and these days they reckon. So we're unlikely to ever have one, or I don't think. Like, it rears its head in public debate, every few years, why aren't we running nuclear, and then depending on which side of the government is in favour or not in favour at the moment, the sitting government's not in favour of it. So, they put out scare campaigns, what happens if there's a meltdown like Chernobyl or, Three Mile Island, and all this sort of crap like that. But at the same time, they want to install so much green power, which is all fine, but green power seems to put up the price of power anyway. Like, so, you go, well,
because they discovered we closed down all the nuclear plants here in Germany, and there are some voices, and I see what they mean. Not that I'm particularly fond of nuclear power, but I see what they mean. We've made ourselves vulnerable. And very dependent on fossil fuels. So that's we need to get out of fossil fuels, because the thing is, fossil fuels tend to be made or refined in countries where democracy is debatable. I would say at best. So we need to find alternative ways of making energy. And I run another podcast. It's in Danish. It's a science podcast, and we've discussed many times there that actually all the energy man could ever need comes from. We could just, if we could tap it from the sun. We need to learn how to tap all the energy we need from the sun, because it's there. It's plentiful there. All the energy we could ever need. So
Yeah, that's
it's
it.
just a matter of technology and innovation and all of that. But the longer we're dependent on fossil fuels, the slower this innovation will happen. So I think, in many ways,
Australia. Yeah,
yeah,
keep going.
I was just going to say, in many ways, the toddler in the White House, maybe he's just stirred something that will actually increase the speed of innovation. One can only hope. Yeah.
Well, it could. Australia got tons of coal, but we don't have many coal power stations left. We tend to be closing them down, but it hasn't slowed us down from exporting coal, though, to everyone that actually wants to to run coal-fired power. But
Yeah.
I guess
That was
when you're resource dependent, when your economy's resource dependent like Australia's, that's you just keep selling coal, uranium, iron ore, as much as you can, as much as we can dig up, basically. So
Where's that? Is that Townsville up in Queensland? There's because we were there once, and we were on
yeah,
a campsite. I think we had a view over the water, and you could see all the big container ships. They were literally.
yeah,
It was
coming
like
in,
like a highway, because
yeah,
was that the port of Townsville?
definitely.
It's fairly big.
Could be, yeah. I think there's a lot of coal up that way, and a lot of coal in Western Australia. There's a lot of coal actually just near where we live, but they don't export it because it was inland. It was running about 4 power stations in a place called the Latrobe Valley, but they've closed down 2 of them, and the other one is slated to close in the next 15 years. So they're transferring it all to renewables and things like that, so they can.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're probably getting big kickbacks from the government, I assume, to transfer to renewables. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
generally what
Well,
happens.
like you
So,
say, it's all fiction money, really.
yeah,
It's this thing
it
about we
is.
just had an election in Denmark as well, and all the things they talk about. We then talk about economy and finances. It's literally like you say. It's just who knows? No one can ever check
Yeah.
whatever they are saying.
No,
It's literally
no.
a free argument, whatever they say.
You know what? The one thing I want out of a politician is to do what they say, whether I agree with it or not. Just
Yeah,
have a stand, have a position, and actually follow through on that position.
yeah,
Like I said, whether I agree with it, whether no one agrees with it, take a stand, follow through on your opinion. Don't try to please the left, the right, the centre, because I think there's too much of that, and that's
yeah.
where sometimes the world's getting a bit lost. I think there's no one just takes a stand. They try to please everyone, and then you end up pleasing no one in the end.
Exactly.
Some of these
Exactly.
times,
Yeah.
I think. But once again, I think that comes from too many career politicians around these days. No one
Yeah.
leaves. They just become a politician for their life because they know there's good pension benefits. There's all this sort of stuff that goes with being a politician.
Yeah.
You reap the benefits for the rest of your life, I guess. So, but
Yeah. It's
that's what the world does. Yeah. So I was watching a interesting story last night about Booking.com, and in New South Wales, they're the 4th most complained about company in the last 12 months.
wow.
And apparently they've got $1 billion lawsuit going against them in the Netherlands. So they said as well. So just through their terms and conditions, how they try and hide things and no refunds, and and they're not. It was more about this lady in Sydney or somewhere, and she had a house, and she had it on Booking.com to rent it out, and the people wrecked this house on her. They rented it out to some. They happened to be teenagers in the end. So she was on about the vetting process that that Booking.com do to see who's actually renting these places, and how much information they need, which I don't know. It was a long time ago I signed up to Booking.com, but most things these days all you got to do is click link to your Google profile, don't you? And you're you signed up to pretty much everything, aren't you? So I don't really know how they could really vet all the people that are on their site that are booking houses. I find that a little bit strange, but one thing they do is they only actually have a $500 limit on damage claims, and they rejected her damage claim. And these people put holes in her wall and things like that because they have all these technicalities like all these big companies do to sort of get out of, paying anything, but hence they're now going to pay her because they appeared on television, of course. But
yeah. I think
very.
In terms of Booking.com, I can see there a lot of issues with that as a private person, that you rent out your house or apartment for short-term accommodation. The thing is, what Booking.com should do, they should have a supervisor traveling around the area and making sure that things are left in order, and it would increase. But that would be the easiest way, to have just one or two persons just making sure that things are kept tidy and in order. That would be my suggestion. But it would increase. Obviously, it would increase costs. Obviously, it would. But
that's it. And that's the thing. Like sites like that, they're really just facilitators. They don't own anything. They don't do anything. They just really take the money and take a commission and and send you there. That's really all they do. Isn't it? In the end, there's no overly responsibility. Then there was another lady, and she fell over and broke her leg in Japan, and she paid $2,000 for accommodation, and they wouldn't refund her, which I understand that because that's in the terms and conditions a lot of the times. They'll often say non-refundable. So, surely if you had travel insurance, you could claim some of that back, you would think, in cancellations, wouldn't you? So I didn't really agree with her stance too much, because we're all aware that non-refundable is non-refundable when it comes to not just booking, but if you book like Ibis or Hilton through their sites, they'll always give you a better price for non-refundable most of the time. It's always a little bit cheaper sometimes if you go the non-refundable option. And if you understand that, then, I know it's a bit of bad luck that you broke your leg and you lost $2,000 in accommodation in Tokyo, but Booking.com ended up giving her the $2,000 back because once again she was on TV talking about it last night. So
the more noise you make, the better your chance of having your money back. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. They don't want bad publicity, do they? So
My biggest issue with I've mentioned this many times is that the owner can cancel your stay with very short notice, and that just does not work for me or our family when we book our transportation, our airfare or train tickets months in advance, and then 2 days before we're about to appear, they cancel. This is really where I'm always very, very concerned. Definitely. So we've actually stopped using Booking.com for small private apartments. We don't do that anymore. We do it with hotels, and we do it with apartment hotels, but we don't do it with private apartments anymore, because it's the chance of cancellation is just too significant. I mean, it's a no-go.
And they should have to pay you a fee if they cancel, I reckon. Yeah. If you cancelled, and within 2 days, you'd have to pay them a fee. For cancelling. It's much like going to the doctor. You make a doctor's appointment. If you go mid-afternoon, you're surely to be in Australia to be 20 minutes, 30 minutes waiting, even if you get there on time. I've got to pay you, so not meant to be there on time, but I've got to sit there and wait for you, and you can't be on time. I understand things happen, but it's just one of them things. It's all stacked against you, isn't it? Literally. Literally. So
you're in that case, you're just the little man against the system, aren't you?
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. Now, what was I going to ask you? So when you travel, when you travel to Italy or Hungary, you obviously wouldn't need travel insurance, would you? Because your German insurance in the EU would cover you in EU countries, or
exactly. Yes. Yeah, we have our health insurance is valid throughout the EU. I'm not sure about the UK anymore because they left the EU, so I'm not sure. Maybe but Yeah, so that's actually a good question. Maybe I should research this for the next episode, because that's probably where many EU citizens and UK citizens would be surprised. I could imagine, unless we've made an agreement with the UK, EU,
Agreement.
UK, that we've maybe made an agreement there. But in general, yes, you're right. We do not need any extra insurance. It's just standard procedure. Like we would go to
I thought that was
a clinic here in Germany. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know
that's
Australians or Australia has some sort of reciprocal agreements with some countries. I know because I went to the doctor. I've been to the doctor in the UK, and it costs you nothing. So if they come to Australia, they can claim it as well on our version of Medicare. I think theirs is called the NHS or something like that.
Yes, correct.
I assume Germany's got a similar program. And once upon a time, Australia had an agreement with Italy as well. There was a few countries we had reciprocal health agreements with at one stage. That's something that I need to look up and see who we have reciprocal health agreements with. I often think though, if you countries you have reciprocal health agreements with, if they're not first world countries, you still might not be happy where you end up. If you had a health agreement, with some tiny Asian country or somewhere, you might end up in some backwater hospital somewhere.
But it's a surprise. It's a surprise. This is always a topic for crucial discussion. In the US, you'd think we actually had some visits to emergency room in the US when we were traveling there, because Anton had an ear infection and he was screaming at night, and we wanted to ease his pain, and we wanted to had it looked at. It wasn't too bad, I must say. We ended up paying less than $100, including some medicine, ear infection medicine, and it was all good. And we got the bill reimbursed by our travel insurance, so it wasn't bad. My personal experience from a medical service in the US is good, I must say. But I hear stories, we all hear stories about, travelers getting caught up in huge bills. I mean, really, it's, and you would think that in a modern society, in a rich society, these things. I come from a place in the world, Scandinavia, where these things are just free. You do not pay. Yeah. It's not even up for discussion how you're insured. It's never brought up. It's just taken care of. It's fixed, and you leave the premises without ever thinking back on it. That's how it should be, in my opinion, because that's how I was brought up. Yeah.
Universal healthcare should be affordable for everyone.
Yeah.
There's no problem there. Like, you shouldn't have to die of cancer in the US because you can't afford, treatment or things like that.
Or you shouldn't have to sell your house, or you shouldn't have to not be able to send your kids to college. That's a whole different can of worms there, because education should be free as well, which it is in Denmark. So it's just we can always say, well, we have high taxes, sure, but we also get a lot of benefits. So that's
and that's right. Same as Australia. I mean, school is technically free, but they still ask you to contribute a couple $100 a year or something,
pay for some books or whatever.
It's
just
things like that. So similar to use, it's free here in Australia to send your kids to public school, most definitely. To go to the doctor is sometimes free, depending on where you're going, but there'll be but it never costs you the full quid. There'll be there might be a co-contribution of 40% or 30%, but I think a standard doctor's consultation last time I looked was about $80 Australian. So what's that? It's about 50 euros maybe is a standard consultation, I think. And so sometimes you might have to. It depends which doctor's surgery you go to. Some have what they call bulk billing, where they'll fully bulk bill the government for the fee, and others don't.
The thing is, when you for the second, third, or fourth time come in late, or you don't come at all, I think that should cost you. I mean, that's abuse of the system, and that's disrespectful.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm all for that. But if you do your thing and you respect the time schedule that you're given and all of these things, I think it should just be free. And now we're at the topic. I think traveling in countries where things work like that, there tend to be less difference between rich and poor in these countries as well. It tends to be more like a coherent society. That is just more pleasing to visit. It's just people are more relaxed because they're not under constant stress or worry that within the next hour they can fall and break their leg, and so and you are often surprised that it's not necessarily rich countries that has a proper system in place. It's actually, you travel a lot in Asia. I mean, sure, it can cost money to visit a doctor in Asia. We went to a doctor in Thailand as well. I don't even think it cost us money there because it was just covered. It was just covered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, it's like people who don't take travel insurance, and then all of a sudden they pop up on GoFundMe. Oh, I need money to get home. I'm in hospital. Yeah. Why didn't you have travel insurance? Because you thought nothing would happen to you. The great words. Yeah. Nothing will happen to me.
Yeah, we had when the war in the Middle East broke out here about a month ago. We had some rich Danes living in tax shelter in Dubai, and they got caught in some serious shit there, and they were whining and claiming they wanted to go home to Denmark to be protected by the Danish government, from which they fled to live, in luxury in Dubai. Yeah, exactly. So, no, I hear you there. And they didn't really get a lot of sympathy either.
No, I bet they didn't. Actually, the Danish king and queen were here only last week, I think, in Australia.
They were,
2 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Our queen is
almost on the news most nights.
Our queen is from Tasmania. Yeah. Well, they
yes, that's it. So.
I think they go regularly, actually. I think they go a few times a year, but not on official business. So
not on official business,
Yeah, so because the...
do they have a private jet?
No.
Does the king have a private jet? He doesn't? No, he just flies commercial. Okay.
I don't think they fly commercial. They will fly with a military Challenger flight, I guess.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't... let's just put it like this. It wouldn't send the right signal.
It wouldn't wash.
But
Australia, we would say it wouldn't pass the pub test.
No. But there is an agreement amongst the Danish people that it's okay to use a military private jet, but they can't. They won't pay tax money for the royal family to have a permanent private plane. I mean that would be stretching it. But it's they understand that of course the king cannot enter like a Scandinavian Airlines, even though he would fly first class. Yeah. That's understandable. I mean that's of course.
Yes, definitely.
So no,
I think
they were there. Yeah,
they did the rounds here.
Yeah, they did. They went to. I would love to go to Uluru and see the rock. That's one of the things we didn't manage to do in Australia when we were there. And I think we even went there. When was it? When did it get forbidden to climb the Ayers Rock?
Yeah, I think that was maybe 10 years ago or so.
Yeah,
I think.
So when we were there, it was still allowed, but we didn't do it. Yeah.
It's a long climb too. They reckon, like it's a couple of hours to climb up it or something.
I would reckon, yeah.
Or when you were allowed.
Have you been there?
Anyway. No, I haven't. I can't
No.
say I have. So Rebecca wants to go there. So I assume one day we'll probably go and have a look. But like all places, there's not really. There's only a few like choice places around it, and they charge an arm and a leg to stay there because there's nothing there. I think Alice Springs is like an hour and a half away, and but other than that, there's no real town there. It's just a couple of upmarket resorts that that want to charge you for the experience. I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's been probably the main reason. Like last time I looked, it was like $500 something a night to stay at one of them, or something like that, which is 300 euros, 350 euros a
Whoa.
night, something like that.
Yeah.
There might be a camper van ground there. I'm not sure, but yeah. But if you had to fly from say Melbourne, it'd be 3.5 hour flight, and then an hour and a half drive, and then like I said, a couple of $500 a night stays, and it's sort of not convenient. It's out of the road, to go to from here. It's
Yeah.
like unless you were driving to Darwin or somewhere like that, then you could stop on the way. But yeah, it's sort of one of those places where there's not really anything else there to see. Like Alice Springs is one of the most dangerous towns in Australia or in the world sometimes, they reckon. And,
Really?
so there's nothing else you can.
What are they doing there? Is that because of the
It has
tensions
problems
between?
with the indigenous population, I think. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's
yeah. So
it's kind of sad. You see that not just in Australia, but in many places with the
yeah,
original population
yeah,
in the US, in South America, even in Greenland. There is a bitterness in
yeah,
deep down inside, and to a
yeah,
certain point, me as a white man. I can understand the bitterness, but really, in 2026, I mean,
yeah.
it's. I remember
We,
we were up in Cooktown in northern Queensland when we were traveling, and
yep,
it was. Nothing happened, but you could just see we didn't feel welcome at all up
yeah,
there because there was
yeah,
a lot of tension between white
yeah,
and Aboriginals. It was sad because I think the city the town is not a big city. It was just a town.
yeah,
It could have been
yeah,
nice, but we didn't
yeah.
feel that
No, yeah.
and I know that
I
there are
hear you.
people elsewhere visiting original people. They don't feel like there's. Have I told you this? In Greenland, they have new airports in 3 cities because they want to be able to take in more tourism and bigger airplanes and stuff. The
Yep.
problem is. The Greenlandic government, they have made it a term that local local people should work there. I mean, Greenlanders,
Yeah.
Inuits,
Yep.
they have a right to work there. And the problem with that is, Danes and international people, they work there as well. So it's a mix, it's a blend. But in order for things to work out like they intended to have it work, this should be a mix of all kinds of people, a diverse working environment, and also a customer service environment. So the original Greenlandic people, they of course have important roles as well. The problem with it is, and I hear these from many sources, they say, because of the bitterness still in these people, and still in these people,
Yeah.
they are very reluctant to serve the white man.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they
how can you
don't.
work in customer service? Yeah.
They do not give proper customer service when a white man come
No.
up and ask them for,
Yeah.
and that just doesn't work. That just doesn't work.
No. It's like a lot of things. We always have a debate here every year about Australia Day, and the date should be changed because the Indigenous population see it as Invasion Day, and it
Yeah,
hurts them deeply. But I'm like, well, without sounding smart, well, you weren't here 250 years ago when it happened, so
yeah,
how can it really hurt you that deeply? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I understand that your heritage says that's what happened. You know, the English came in and, you know, a certain amount of years got killed and enslaved and
Yeah.
whatever happened, you know, to create Australia. But personally, you weren't there. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it was 250 years ago. Like, you know, and does changing the day actually change it? Well, we're still celebrating Australia and you know, yeah, okay, no, I won't go any further.
No.
I'll start to sound racist if I go any further.
No.
I'm sorry,
The thing,
you know, you're happy
because
to take benefits from the government and all this,
Yeah.
but you don't want to be Australian? Like, you know,
The truth is, Mark, racism goes two ways, and it's certainly also in reverse form.
Yeah. Most definitely.
An issue. It really is. I mean, racism exists in any society, you know, in any religion, any race.
Yeah.
It's just, if you look at what's going on in the Middle East, it's racism pure. Well, it's just what it is, you know.
Religion is the root cause of a lot of evil.
Absolutely. We have the same thing in Germany. I would say not a day, but not a week goes by without me hearing about, you know, people believing that Germany is still full of Nazis, or that the Germans should still feel guilty about what happened during the Second World War, and of course, you can find the occasional Nazi here, because you can find extreme right-wing people, nuts, in any society in the world.
Country.
But I've been living here for more than 20 years, and I do not think that the Germans should feel guilty about what happened during the Second World War. They are very much aware of it, and they take very much care not to ever forget about it. You've been to several concentration camps, and you visited many sites. They educate the population, very thoroughly. But feeling guilty? No, not anymore. Not anymore. It's
and you can't and you shouldn't bury them sort of things. Like, you know, that I hear this. I don't hear it, but I see this in Australia a lot. Like, there was this. Probably 12 months ago, there was a lot going on where people were vandalising. They wanted statues pulled down from when settlers, took over Australia. Like there was a Captain Cook statue in St Kilda that someone toppled the head off, and threw red paint all over it, because he brought the English here. And just in our region here, there was a famous, or not famous, maybe infamous now, settler called Angus McMillan, and not far from here, he actually drove a tribe of Aboriginals off a cliff, and killed them back in the the early 1800s,
wow.
And there's
brutal.
There's statues around here and markers, for places where he went and the trail he took as he was settling, helped settling the region, and people wanted them all demolished and pulled down. But if you hide history, you can't learn from history.
No. That's right.
I mean? So
that's right.
So how are you meant to learn that it's wrong if you just bury it?
Absolutely, you said it right there. It's you cannot erase history. You should learn from history. Stuff they do in England as well. I think they're debating a lot of the statues there as well. And the argument is, we shouldn't accept what happened, but we should learn from it. And in today's measures, you would see things very differently. But it's a fact that if you just go back to when I was a kid, 50 years ago, there are children's nursery rhymes and books where you would in order to learn about Africa, you would talk about the Negro, the Negro man, which is a forbidden word now. It's
actually quite funny. Because I'm older in your age group, and a couple of disability clients I work with are my age, but a couple of the actual other workers are like young, 18, 19. And so one of the clients the other day, he's like singing this rhyme, that we used to sing, and I'll bleep out the word. You know, it goes eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a N
Yeah.
person by the toe. You know, if he hollows, let him go.
Yeah.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And the other worker, the 18-year-old girl, she was horrified. She was like, "Did he just say
Did he
the
say that
N-word?"
word?
And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, "That's terrible." And I said, that was an actual rhyme that we used to say, like,
Yeah.
you know, 30, 40 years ago when we were a kid. And now they change it and they say catch a tigger, like a tiger, catch a tigger by the toe instead of, you know, but she was amazed that was actually something that, you know, that used to, that people used to say because, you know, where back then there was no real connotation, you know, I guess, to that word as much as there is these days. So,
There's even a musical style, you know, they call Negro spiritual, and these it's an a cappella choir discipline where, you know, they use a certain technique in their singing, and it derives from Africa, from the tribal areas, from African tribes. It's wonderful. It's beautiful music, but you could, I mean, it's the name of it. it's what it's called.
That's it.
It's
like everything, you know. You just get an overcorrection sometimes, you know.
Absolutely.
Like all these football teams in America, like the Washington Redskins can't be the Redskins, you know, and all this, and the Chiefs can't be the Chiefs, you know. You know, and you just go. You know, just calm down, people. Like, you know,
it was. One would think that in this day and age we would have bigger fish to fry, wouldn't we?
Definitely. There's bigger issues than a football team being called the Washington Redskins. Like,
absolutely.
You know, like surely there is, but that's the world we live in these days, isn't it? Where, you know, everyone's got an opinion and we have to please everyone, and that's what happens, isn't it?
So this Easter, we're as I mentioned to start with, our son is away. So we're having a staycation here in Munich, and yesterday we went to a Vietnamese street kitchen for dinner, which was very nice. I mean, there's something about the Vietnamese kitchen that I really, really appreciate because of
my favorite. It always tastes fresh.
That's what I'm going to say. You know, the fresh herbs, and it's just.
It's the coriander.
Yeah, it's just so nice.
It's the coriander for sure, and the lemongrass. Yeah, like it's amazing. Like I love Vietnamese. So whenever we go to Melbourne, there's a restaurant on Swanston Street called Mekong Viet, and I can guarantee you that we always, if we're in Melbourne for 2 nights, at least one meal is spent at this restaurant, and you know, either having a bowl of pho or, you know, some bun char or a banh mi or, you know, anything like that. But I could just eat my way through Vietnam any day of the week. It's probably my favorite.
It's so nice. And because I said to Alex, I said, you know, we met in the city near her work, and I said to her, you know, where do you want to go eat? And she didn't really have an idea. I said, why don't we go to the Vietnamese street kitchen here around the corner? And she, sure. And we went there, and it's just so nice, and we were both because we hadn't been there before, and so when we got out again, we said, that was really nice. It was not cheap because we did order a fair amount of food because I underestimated the size of the rolls, so I said, okay, let's have 4 rolls and then each a bowl of whatever, and these 4 rolls it had been plenty for just the entire meal, but. But, you know, it was fine. It was really fine. I think we spent about €50 with a couple of drinks, and that was really okay. Absolutely fine.
That's probably standard. Standard these days. Like that price, that's probably about $80 Australian. That's what it cost me to go out here, literally in most places for 2 people to have a meal and 1 drink or something like that.
Yeah, so, something like that. Yeah. So and we're thinking about. There's a couple of Korean places that we're going to check out. I can't remember. Have you been to South Korea?
I have been to South Korea, yes.
Yeah, it's one of those places where because we're going to Japan next year. The plan is to go to Japan,
Yep.
and then have a stopover in South Korea, in Seoul, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
But we'll see. I'd really like to go, and also because of the food, because I hear the food is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the Korean barbecue is pretty popular everywhere, and they make some good cold. They make this cold noodle soup that I had. I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of it, but
Okay.
it was pretty interesting. I think I went on a food tour maybe in Seoul. Yeah, I don't know, or maybe Busan. I don't know, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I must have, because I remember it. It sticks in my mind. I did. I went on a couple of food tours actually. I went on one food tour I did go on a food tour in Seoul. I went on this one called a chicken and beer tour. And it was all the different Korean fried chickens and chicken and beer. But we must have had this noodle somewhere because, I wouldn't have just ordered it. I wouldn't have just ordered it myself. Like,
Okay,
so I obviously went somewhere to have it. Yeah, this chicken and beer tour was pretty interesting. We went to a number of different places where they did chicken different ways. It was obviously fried chicken, but there was this roast chicken where they used to fry the rice with it as well, and then put cheese over the top of like a roast chicken that was on top of some fried. Yeah, all very good.
Yeah.
Stretching my memory way back now.
Sounds like it. Yeah. No, I mean, but they don't have Korean beer, do they? Or was it just?
They do have Korean beer. Yes. There's a brand called CASS, CASS, which is a really. I would say it's a nice beer. It's very light in taste, so it suits the Asian. Asians don't generally like strong tasting beer, so it's really, really light. I would say, Pilsners are pretty light sometimes, but this would be lighter again. Because when we're in Seoul, we actually went to the baseball. So if you go to Seoul, actually, if you can go catch baseball, it's one of the second or third biggest professional leagues in the world. And
wow.
So you go there and you have some beers, and the Koreans love it. They're up dancing and chanting and banging their drums and things like that.
All right.
So we went to the Korean professional baseball league. There's about 3 teams based in Seoul. So it was quite cheap, and it was a really fun night because I'd never been to baseball before, and I'm not a big baseball fan, but. So we go, well, while I'm there, it was something to do at night. The kids were young, we weren't really doing too much at night time. So we're like, okay, let's go to baseball. So we went to the baseball and seen the Doosan Bears. They were the team in Seoul. Yeah, so a lot of Americans playing it and different foreigners as well, once they're sort of at the end of their career or starting their career. But, it was a really good night. Stadium was full, about 25,000 people there. Lots of music and things going on. So, it was quite an entertaining night.
Wow.
I must say. And they sold beer in like 2-litre bottles. Like, you go and buy a big 2-litre plastic bottle and they give you 3 or 4 cups and, and take it back to your seat and, sit there and have a few cold beers while you're...
It's probably for logistical purposes, so they don't have people running back and forth to the bar all the time,
Yeah. And they were selling food outside. One of them things, much like the sort of beer garden thing, like they had like a mini market outside, like people with their own food stalls, and you could just buy the food out there and take it into the stadium and, sit there and eat your food and buy beer inside. And, so really sort of festive sort of atmosphere it was from memory.
I'll make a note of that because that would be
really good.
That would be interesting. I mean, the cold noodle soup, though, I don't know. Cold soup in general is just not for me.
I said interesting. I didn't say overly nice. It was all right, but
there's this cold Mexican gazpacho. I think it's just not for me.
And it'd be sort of like the Russian borscht, like the beetroot soup. I assume I've never tried it, but I don't think that's for me. It's either like it's quite strange. Soup is soup, and as Westerners, soup is warm with vegetables or chicken or things like that, or beef, and a heap of veggies. But different. I do like a
good Japanese udon soup with the thick noodles and there's usually an egg in it, and that's quite nice. Actually.
Yeah. Willow loves all that stuff. So she came home the other day, and she's been home, and we had like a mini Korean barbecue the other night. She went through the freezer and cut up a heap of meat and barbecued it, and we got some like cos lettuce and put the meat in the lettuce, and we got some Korean some Korean sauce. I don't know what it was called, but she knew it was down the supermarket. Korean sauce on it, you know. I'm sitting there eating barbecue lettuce wraps for dinner, so that was quite nice actually, tasty and fresh and light because you know you're wrapping things in lettuce, not in bread and friggin' wheat and all that sort of all that stuff that makes you feel
a little less mayonnaise as well. So yeah,
that's it. That's dead right. So no, it was quite good. I've only managed to get her to cook once, so I need to put my foot down and get her to start cooking more. But she's got a job, so she starts work Friday, which is good for her. She's still doing school online during the day, and now she's got a job at a Chinese restaurant, obviously, because she's just been to China, so why not work in a Chinese restaurant?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know I don't know how much Chinese they obviously among the staff they would speak Chinese, but with the customers I don't know. But
there'll be not many in our town anyway. Maybe if it was in the city, so she'll be right there anyway. But she worked there at this Chinese restaurant before she actually went to China, but there's different owners now, and they were happy to have her back on. They've actually been shut for 4 months while they've done up the shop and the new owners have come in. So she starts. They're opening on Good Friday. It's their first day open. So
nice.
Hopefully they do all right.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Hopefully for Willow they do all right, so she can keep it up.
yeah, that's true. Anyways, Mark, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. Real life tends to kind of break up our schedule all the time, but that's just how it is.
What it is.
It's nice when we can get together and actually chat. So let's try and see if we can do it next week. Is Easter week as well, but towards the end of next week it should be possible
whatever suits you, mate. Like I said, I've just got to remember what day it is. Like last night when you messaged me up. I would have been asleep. I was sitting on the couch asleep, and I woke up and I'm like, I was going to go to my podcast.
No, it's fine. It's actually it is what it is. I don't mind at all. So say hello to the family, and
thank you.
We'll chat soon,
Alex. Hope you have a good Easter.
We will.
Okay, mate. You take it easy.
Bye.
Yeah, see ya.